All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to WealthyU Wind Down. It is our State of the Union. It's our State of Our Future, Secure Your Future event. Welcome to 2023, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful, you brought in the new year the right way. And it seems like we've got some people who are unmuted. I'm getting some feedback. So if everyone could mute themselves, or if we can find out what's going on, that would be helpful. So good evening, everyone. It's the first WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday of the year. And so I want to toast all of you. Let's have a prosperous new year to all. I'm drinking a Cabernet, of course. But let's get right into it. So before we get started, in the chat, let me give some folks some shout outs. I actually want to shout out someone who's been really on my mind and heavy on my heart, and she is here tonight. So let's give a warm welcome to Stephanie Hawkins, one of our former WealthyU ambassadors. I am so grateful that you're here tonight because you have certainly been on my heart, and then you appear. So as all of our WealthyU ambassadors know, Stephanie Hawkins was there in the beginning, one of our first WealthyU ambassadors. So I certainly want to acknowledge her this evening, knowing the challenges that she's been through, and so many of you have been through. But welcome back, Stephanie. It's good to have you in the house. So let's see who's in the house. If it's your first time joining us, let me know so I can give you a shout out. I see a lot of people. A lot of our WealthyU Society members are here. So welcome. Let's get this year started out. Now, here's what's really interesting about what we're hearing. We're hearing a lot about, what are we hearing? What are you guys hearing? What are people saying? What is the news saying that our year is going to be like? Are we getting good prognostications? What are folks saying that we should be prepared for in this new year? Let me see if anybody can guess what it is. What is top of mind? What is in the news about finance and the state of the economy? What are we hearing? Oh, excellent. So let's see. Ashley Branch is here. Welcome, Ashley. This is your first time. So glad that you're here. Let's see who else is here that I can give a shout out to. Excellent. Oh, Stephanie, it's my pleasure. So glad to see you. You really have been in my thoughts, and in my prayers. And so I'm so glad that you're here this evening. Okay. So what are we hearing about? That's right, Shelley. We're hearing about inflation. What we're hearing about more troubles. We're hearing about inflation and recession. Courtney says we're hearing about paying down debt. Hold off on large purchases. What else are we hearing out here, folks? What else are we hearing? We're hearing about interest rates rising. That's right. We're hearing about loss of jobs. I mean, buckle your seatbelts, right, everyone? Because it is going to be a rocky ride. Agree or disagree? Keep cash on hand. So what do you think I'm going to say tonight? Am I going to align myself with the prognosticators about what you need to be doing in this recession? Keisha says, I'm going to say, stay the course. Roxanne says, I'm going to say, don't panic. I'm going to go even one step further. And here's what I want all of you to know, is that millionaires are made in recessions. That's right. Now, how can I say that? What gives me the gumption to say to y'all, millionaires are made in the recession? Well, here's what I was reflecting. Every new year, I reflect on our past year. And we had a team meeting, and we, with the ambassadors, with the team, and we really talked about our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, our threats, and reflected on the year, where we've been and where we're going. And here's what's really fascinating about these past 2 years, when we have been experiencing some pretty volatile times. The market was down. I know we ended down lower, almost 20 to 25% in terms of the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And even prior to that, remember, we came off of COVID. But here's what's really interesting about WealthyU. I wanted to start just giving you kind of a state of the union. The fact is that in WealthyU, we had some tremendous success. we launched our program on the Black Star Network, Get Wealthy. How many of you are watching Get Wealthy and have seen the phenomenal stories of the women and their transformations? And here's what's really interesting is that most of their transformations, most of those stories that you heard, like Dia Wynn, like Sharon Deans, like Lori Sales, like, I could go Leah, Charity, all those stories, those transformations and the kind of results that they were able to achieve happen during COVID, after COVID, right? So I want you guys to get this. And then not only did we produce more than 50 shows highlighting a lot of those financial transformations, we also invested in WealthyU. We invested in our programming. For those of you who are in our WealthyU Society, we launched another program, Legacy Wealth Accelerator. We have had women and members, not just women, because we got a brother in here who's doing some phenomenal things as well. Shout out to Dennis. I don't know if he's here tonight, but we've had women crossover and achieve their first 6, their first 7, and multiple 7-figures portfolios this year in the midst of all of the significant volatility in the economy. We also launched our newest WealthyU 101 program, specifically targeting those of you who are running for their first 6 figures, want to get the financial fundamentals down. And that is a shortened course. That's 6 months because we really want you to be able to, we know that once you really get insight around your finances, we know it's going to be time for you to accelerate and up level. And so that program is really designed to be short for you to up level into our other programs. And by the way, it's almost like we're giving that away because we give you a credit on that when you go into the other programs. So when I reflect on all of our accomplishments during a very volatile time, what I would say to all of you is from where we sit, the future is bright. And in fact, we're going to have some more announcements coming because at the end of the day, our goal is to help 1 million women get to $1 million in investable assets and make an impact and close the wealth gap. And why that is so important, is because when you look at that wealth gap, what you'll see is that particularly for Black households have 1/10 the assets of the majority, our white counterparts. Now that's a fact. And here's what's really, really amazing. You guys stay tuned because one of my first interviews on Get Wealthy this year is going to be with Emily Flitter, New York Times reporter, author of the new book, The White Wall, How Black Americans are being bankrupt by the financial services industry. And you know what? I could have wrote that book because when you guys read that book, basically everything I have been telling you in black and white, right? Reported thoroughly by the premier news institution in the world, the New York Times. Now, why is this important? This is why I want you to what I want you all to understand is this, is that the reason the wealth gap is so wide is through no fault of your own. Many of you have walked into these institutions, you have asked for help, you have, some of you have gotten inheritances, some of you have gotten a lot of pushback. And in the book, in black and white, she recounts story after story of people, of Black people who have been taken advantage of, who, regardless of the fact that they've had the assets, have not been given access to those types of investments that we discuss and that you learn about in WealthyU. And by the way, that you didn't learn through your formal education. Agree or disagree with me? You guys see where I'm going here? So the point that I want to make is the State of the Union in reference to WealthyU. We're leaning in even further. Not only are we going to double down, we're going to continue to accelerate to be able to convey to our community that most of you would already be millionaires. And this is what I want you to get. It's just that by design, we literally have been bankrupted. Our homes don't appreciate at the same value. Listen, one of the points she makes in this book, she says, how insurance works for Black people. It doesn't work. Are you with me? I mean, many of you, we hold more insurance products than any other segment, than any other demographic. Now, why is that? Well, the reason that is because literally the only kind of financial person that ever came into our communities was the debit insurance guy, where our folks paid into them. And this is what's really, really mind-blowing. And it's personal for me. You know, my husband and I, when we got married, you know, I tell the story of him having his first job. Well, not first job, it was actually his second job, but he was going to the big city. It was WEYI in Flint, Michigan. You roll up, honey, you roll into the cornfields, right? And I mean, I remember visiting him and going to the grocery store, and between the two of us, we had like $35. Are y'all with me? And, you know, he had a policy mature that his mother had been paying on his entire life from the time he was a baby. And she paid those premiums diligently. And when we went to buy our first, what then was in Detroit condo, the value of that policy that she had been paying for 18 years, I want to say probably $9 or $10 a month, but think about it, $9 or $10 a month, $120 a year over 18 years. Come on now, that should be, you know what, at least $15,000, $16,000, even if you didn't get any interest on it. You know what the value of that policy was? $1,000 when it matured. So insurance, that's the point she makes in this book, and I can't wait to interview her. Now, here's the other thing I know about, I mean, I literally could have wrote that book. But here's the other thing is that not only was that the policies that we bought then, now many of us are being put into what are being called safe investments. They're called annuities. They tell you, oh, you don't have to have your money in the market. You know, the market's going to go down. And if you put it in here, it's going to be safe. We're going to pay you interest. You're never going to lose your money. A ticking time bomb. And many of you know that when you have learned how to review those policies, many of you can't get out of them unless you annuitize them. They put these egregious sales charges on them. And many of you right here in this community know you've put tens and thousands, some of you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you come out of that policy, you got to give them back 10,000. I mean, literally, your money's been sitting there for 10 years. You go to take it out. All of the earnings that you earned, right? They say they are going to penalize you if you take the money out. Okay, so why is this important? Where am I going with this? Why we're doubling down and why we're going to accelerate it even further? That's right, Jacqueline. My mother had an similar experience with her insurance policy. Why we're doubling down is because, listen, here's the other statistic that really it alarms me. Okay, and it alarms me because, particularly for Black women, by 2024, the median net worth for Black women will be zero, zip, nada, nothing. Is that insane? And so the sense of urgency that we have in WealthyU is really about that mission of helping 1 million families. Now, why is that important? We put a stake in the ground, and our mission of helping 1 million families get to $1 million in investable net worth is because in investable assets, not net worth, investable assets, I'm talking cash, I'm talking investments, I'm talking stock, I'm talking property, I'm talking assets. The reason that is important, this book makes very clear, is because we have to arm ourselves with knowledge, because financial ignorance is expensive, and that's why the wealth gap is so wide. Are y'all with me? Agree or disagree? In the chat, do you agree or disagree with me? Can many of you relate to, and I'm just recounting, I'm giving you just the blanket overview. That's right, the book is called The White Wall, and I can't wait to have this conversation, because here's what's really, really deep about this whole topic, right? So I'm on the internet, right? And I'm looking at New York Times, Washington Post, and then the story comes up about this football player who had put all his assets in this financial services company and was promised that he could become a private client, and they were giving him the runaround, so he recorded every conversation. And when I saw that, when I read that article, I just happened to know someone very high up at that company, and I called them and I said, listen, I see the story. How are you guys going to deal with it? I'd love to weigh in and give you guys some insight on how you should. And they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you called. We're having a meeting tomorrow. Can you come to New York? Drop what I'm doing, get on the plane, go to their offices. And there is, in that executive room, are who's of Black organizations, literally. From the Urban League to the NAACP to a lot of organizations, really trying to figure out how could this happen and what is going on. Well, lo and behold, I had forgotten, I didn't realize that the reporter that broke that story wrote that book. So I can't wait to have that conversation. If you guys are not, if you haven't downloaded the Black Star Network app, if you're not in the WealthyU community, you need to make sure that you are in it. We're going to do a viewing party of that interview specifically, which will probably air in a couple of weeks, but this is a conversation that we have to have. All right. So I know what y'all thinking. What y'all thinking? Now, wait a minute, Deb, you said the future was bright and you talking about the median net worth, the women gonna be $200. What in the world are you talking about, lady? Right? So how can the future be bright? And how can I sit right here and say to all of you that millionaires are made in recessions? Well, let me just reflect back. Okay, so right after meeting my husband, prior to that, when he met me, I was working in retail. I don't know if you guys know my story, but my parents had separated, and I was just like, my mother I saw her standard of living drop. And like, as a young woman, 18, first year in college, I was like, y'all know what? I got to have myself together. I got to have my own bag, right? A purse of your own. You know, that's the title of the book, right? So anyhow, I'm working in retail, and I meet a friend of my sister's, and she says, hey, you know, I know this guy that works at this company, and this investment company, and I know that you had been talking about you wanted some kind of other opportunity, and I could get you an interview. So I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So I go and I get the interview. I go to these offices in Dearborn. And the minute I hit that door, I was like, wow, this is amazing. You know, wood grain walls, marble floors, you know, the phones are ringing. I go back and interview with this gentleman that she knows. He's the operations manager. And he says, man, you know, I looked at your resume. Man, you lived in Hawaii. You've done this. You've done all these things. You've managed things. But the only thing we have is a receptionist. And in my mind, when I walked in there, it's like, I know this was something different, right? Like I knew the feel of it, the energy of it, the phone ringing, that you were hearing that there was a stock ticker with lights on it right in the lobby, right? And I was fascinated, and I'll tell you, I felt like I was Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. I was like, this is where I need to be, right? So didn't take me long. I said, no, I'll take it. And I get in the foot, and in my mind, I'm thinking I'm getting a foot in the door, right? So sure enough, I take this job, and man, I'm excited. I'm coming in, you know, I'm breaking in there. I came out of retail, so casual corner store. So I'm breaking in there with my Eli Taharu suits. And there was an African-American, the first African-American financial advisor there, Emma Moore. And we're still friends. She's a friend on Facebook still. And she came out, she says, you just think you Miss America, right? She cracked me up. Well, long story short, the branch manager comes out, he says, listen, it's clear you're overqualified for this role of receptionist. Would you like to get your broker's license? And I was like, yes. And so here I am. Then I became a sales assistant. So I'm helping 3 brokers. I'm, studying for this exam. I'm dating my husband. They're hanging out at the club. I'm like, no, I got to pass this test. And everybody was scaring me. They were telling me about how it takes brokers 3 times to pass this test. And I told them I am not failing. So I studied. I passed that by Series 7 on the first time. I was like, thank you, Lord. And then shortly after that, what happens? I look up, and there are all these people running in the door saying, sell everything I got. I want to see my broker sell everything I got. And I'm like, what? So that night, I'm like helping the brokers write tickets, and they're all sales order. And we had these pneumatic tubes, just like, you know, how you go to the bank, and they're all sell orders. And we're wondering if the orders are going to get in, sell. So that night, I'm helping people write. Now, this is old school, y'all. All we had then was a Quotron, right? This little computer that did quotes, that gave us quotes. By the way, that Bloomberg, the bazillionaire, that's how he got rich. But that's a story for another day. But anyway, so sell. So that night, I'm going in these ledgers, I'm writing, making sure I get it right, making sure those orders got down. And let me tell you, the market dropped 20% in one day. That was Black Monday. I was like, wow, what have I got myself into? This is crazy. I don't know. Maybe this wasn't a good idea. And so then I'm sitting there I'm in one of the brokers' rooms, and then it's about 6:30. Then I see the many of the clients that I knew who called every day, and they were getting orders. They always asked for quotes. Then it was GM, Ford. some of the blue chips, they're waiting. So they're sitting outside and they're waiting to see their brokers. So all the top brokers had corner offices, right, with the glass windows in them. They had the primo spots. And so I'm like, oh man, don't tell me I'm gonna have to put all these orders in now after order. I'm gonna have to write all this stuff. So anyway, so they go in, and then sure enough, I start seeing trades going boom, 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 trades going through the pneumatic tubes. So I'm like, wow. So then I get up, I go to the operations rooms to see how many orders we're gonna be putting in the morning. Guess what they were? If in the chat, let me know if you can guess what these orders were in the chat. Let me see if you can guess what's going on. Okay. That's right. They're all buy orders, but guess what? They weren't buying just everything. They were very strategic in the types of investments they made. And if we were to reflect back, I went and looked at the stats that after that market went down like that, it was one of the most successful bull runs after that. Choppy, but after that. That's how I can tell you millionaires are made in recession. And that's when I said to myself, wow. First off, how come I was never exposed to this in my formal education about investing, right? How come I didn't know anything about it? How come my parents said, girl, you better go to college and get a good job. And if you're good and you're successful and you have a successful career, you'll have a retirement plan, right? That's what I learned very early on, is that the wealthy do the opposite of what most people do. And that's why. And here's the other thing, and that's what you're going to see in this book. And they get access to strategic advice, high net worth strategies that we're never privy to. Do you guys understand that? And so that's what I want all of you to understand. If you're in WealthyU, if you're in this community, we are not going to be fearful. We are going to be strategic. And in WealthyU, you are learning the same techniques and strategies that the high net worth use to take calculated risk. Are y'all with me? Who's with me in the chat? If you're with me and you understand that recession are when millionaires are made. So in the chat, recessions are when millionaires are made. And I'm not saying that to be trite. I'm not saying that to be provocative. This is what you need to understand if you're going to secure your future. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to know, though. It is very difficult to do the opposite of what most people and how they're responding, because we're all controlled by our emotions and fear, right? And fear of loss is the strongest of all. Agree or disagree with me, ladies? Agree or disagree? Is fear the strongest emotion of all? Okay. Now, here's why this is important and that's why it's important for the circle that you're in. Okay, so what have we heard in the past 3 months? What are we seeing? We are seeing layoffs at Facebook. We saw layoffs at Airtable. We saw layoffs at Facebook. Amazon just announced that they are laying off 17,000 employees, double what they had planned. Salesforce has just announced that they're laying off. So if that is true, how do you need to be thinking about these layoffs in economic terms? In the chat, let me see. How do you need to be thinking in economic terms about how do you need to respond in this kind of economic environment? That's the question I have for you. How do you need to be thinking strategically about the economy in your investments, okay, based on the recession? Lynette, I'm glad you're enjoying the conversation, because the conversation is different in WealthyU. Can I get an amen, WealthyU sisters and brothers? Tell her conversation is different. Okay, Dennis, see, Dennis, you are a great student. Dennis says you need to be thinking 5 years ahead. Now, Roxanne, you're gonna bring the church in. Now you go, trouble don't last always. Economy will eventually turn around. Well, yes, all of that is true. But how you need to be thinking is around the corner, right? You need to be thinking around the corner. So if we are going into an economic downturn and we are seeing significant layoffs in tech, and by the way, another driver of that, if you guys are reading and if you're observing, is artificial intelligence. You know, basically, artificial intelligence is going to wipe out a lot of redundancy. But on the other hand, it's going to free up capacity for more complex kinds of activities. So what I want you to all to be thinking about, what you need to be thinking about, and that's what I saw when I looked at those tickets, they weren't buying everything. They were buying things specifically that had declined in value, not based on the economic value or the economic future of that company, but companies that were going to do well in a recession. Do you guys get this? Right. So how you have to be thinking as an investor is, how is this volatility and disruption going to benefit? Here's all I want to tell you, and this is the most important insight of all, is that, and this is a quote from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. If you didn't read that book, go read it again. It is where all personal and self-development derived from. Napoleon Hill, and of course his mentor, W. Clement Stone, is there is a seed of an equivalent benefit in every adversity. Now, in WealthyU terms, you know how we do, you know how we say it, right? We never lose. We either win or we learn. Okay? And you know, I just thought about something too. Have you ever heard the term, I can't win for losing? Well, in WealthyU, we can't lose for winning. Write that down, okay? And the reason is because we look at things differently. We have a wealth mindset, and we look at problems as opportunities because that is what they are. Now, and this is very, very important for all of you to understand, is that there is a reason for things not necessarily going as planned, right? And when you can begin to understand that, if something doesn't go as planned, to think about, okay, it didn't go as planned, and then you can begin to think about how you can do it differently. That really is the secret to success. The secret to success isn't some of you are just waiting for some really big thing to happen magically to solve all your problems, but that is not where success resides. That's not where the money resides. I had to say that, y'all, right? Where success resides is in you responding to situations daily in a manner in which you learn from it. Are y'all with me? And so even in this economic environment, the reason we're doubling down, we're going in, we're going to go even further and faster than we have gone in previous years is because we understand the benefit of disruption. Do you get that? The reason we're going to grow is because many people who've been listening, some of y'all, how many of y'all had come to our Savvy Money Makeover challenges? How many of y'all have come to our master class? How many of you have been listening to this information? Listen, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I mean, this is a multiple decades walk, and yet you've done nothing. All right, now y'all know I got to walk down your street tonight. The reason that economic volatility and disruption is good for many of you is because it is the only way you will do something different from what you've been doing, because you can no longer rely on what you have to get you the result that you need. So you need disruption. Listen, it is time for you to lock arms with other people who have the right mindset for what is coming. Now, listen, I can say millionaires are going to be made in recessions, but what I'm not going to do, right? What I'm not going to say is that it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It is going to be difficult. And it is in great difficulty that you find opportunity. And can I get a witness? Can you, do you guys, if you understand and you agree, give me an I agree, amen. And you know what? Let me welcome two of our newest ambassadors who just joined us, Roxanne Johnson and Alice Woods, stepped up to be ambassadors to support you. They've been in this program. It has made a significant impact. The reason it is important for you now to be in the right circle is so you will have a wealth mindset. You will not be fearful. You will be understanding how you will be looking at where the opportunities are as opposed to being fearful about what's ahead. And let me tell you, all that is perspective, right? And so, you know, when I think about the greatest gift that I've received from my experience in working with high net worth clients, being, climbing that corporate ladder, being exposed and in rooms of great wealth, is that the perspective and how they view things are different. And they're different for a number of reasons, but most of that is because They have intergenerational wealth. They've seen their parents respond and get great gains out of economic uncertainty. And so rather than them being fearful as we are, because we've never been exposed to volatility, instead of being so afraid of losing, and listen, I gotta say this, y'all. I gotta say it. Some of you are so afraid of losing that you can't win. Now, that's a fact. Some of you are trying to hold on for dear life for everything you have. But this is what I also learned. You cannot save your way to wealth. It is impossible. Now, what do I mean by that? Listen, for the past 10 years, if we were to look at where those safe investments, the return on those safe investments, whether it was in your savings account or if you had a CD at a bank or if you worked for a company and you were in their guaranteed fund or you worked for the federal government and you had the G fund, and you were like, I'm safe. Or as soon as the market went down, you ran to safety. Listen, you earned an average return of maybe on a good day, 2% in the last 10 years. And now little old inflation has come to visit you. And when you go to the store, you got inflation now. I think we were maybe at 8%, maybe we've come down a bit. But if you're only making 2% and everything that you cost, it's, you buy a car now, the average car is $40,000, right? And how do you keep up with that? Well, you keep up with that because you invest. Your money has to work above inflation. I mean, I'm not going to get technical tonight. We can do that in our classes. But the point I want to make is this, is that you need to be positioned to prosper. And the way you do that is you're thinking strategically. I'm not saying you're going to just, listen, by no means, and anyone in WealthyU will tell you, am I telling you to look at the glass as always half full? That's not what I'm talking about. What I am saying is that you need to be strategic and not fearful. What I am saying is that you need to arm yourself with the knowledge of how to come out on the other side, even in a better place. Here's the point I want to make. It's about stealth wealth, right? Stealth wealth, what I mean by that is that you have positioned yourself in a way that regardless of the ups and downs of the market, you're going to be able to acquire assets that are going to rise in the future and are recession proof. Is this making sense to you? If this is making sense to you. So the State of the Union, as I see it, is bright. What I do want you to understand is that you need to be positioning yourself to know that we are going to go through difficult economic times. I'm not saying, oh, don't worry about it. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that you need to be strategic. You need to think about those industries that are in contraction. If you're in an industry where you feel like you could be unemployed because of a recessionary environment, you don't need to be waiting for it to happen. You need to be repositioning yourself to be able to thrive or to pivot, right? Right now, none of us can just depend on one source of income. So we need to be thinking about ways that we can generate other incomes. We also need to make sure that we have different assets deployed, right? And so here's one of the points that I wanted to make tonight is you need to be really looking at your cash flow and where your money is going right now. If it is not serving you, if you are not getting a return on investment, then you need to be thinking about closing the leaks in the budget, right? You need to be thinking about your purchases with a wealth mindset, and that is making decisions that are going to benefit you in the long run, because that's what wealthy people do. But guess what? That's why we're starting out this year with our new 5-day challenge. It's called the Get Wealthy 5-Day Challenge. And in this challenge for 5 days, it launches on January the 16th, not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. So if you want to get connected and make sure you're in the challenge, I want to make sure that you reach out to an ambassador. If you're viewing me if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, just say, let me connect with my ambassador, because it is about to launch. Let me just give you a preview. Now, this is going to be a little different than our prior 5-day challenges, because I'm going in specifically on the things that you need to know, the secrets of the 1%, and why millionaires are made during recessions. So I'm going to be specific. Every night, I'm going to reveal one secret that wealthy people do that allows them to excel in spite of the ups and downs of the market. So you are not going to want to miss it. You are going to want to be there every night. Now, here's the other thing, is for those of you who want to go to the next level, I'm even going to every night give you an opportunity to spend some time with me and customize this experience. So we're doing things a little differently. So you're going to have some one-on-one time with me. You're also going to get access to our exercises and workbook. But the whole goal is every day a new secret will be revealed on how you can come out on the other side, regardless of the ups and downs of the market. We're going to go live with that and open up the doors to the challenge on Friday. So if you want to make sure that you get that you're notified, if you will, make sure that you join our WealthyU community on Facebook, and make sure that you connect with your ambassador, right? I just mentioned your ambassadors. So we have 2 new ambassadors, Roxanne Johnson and Alice Woods. We have our ambassadors, Virginia Rutherford Hall, and also Anita Jenkins. And we have, wow, let me make sure I see everybody who's on here. I'm going to unpin myself, but I want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to participate in this next challenge. Because who's ready to go next level? If you're ready to go next level, put next level in the chat, because that's exactly where we're going. We're going to lean into this recession and make sure that we are well positioned, and that you have everything you need to be everything you need to be. Now, what many of you already know is, in WealthyU, we go against the grain. There is, I know many of you, there are a lot of challenges going on, and that's great, right? There are some people, I have colleagues who are doing great work. But all I want you to know is there's a difference between making money, earning money, and building wealth. In WealthyU, our whole focus is having you make the shift from an income to a wealth mindset. In all of our programs, the common thread is one in which I have purposely put all of my work provide you with insight that it took me 2 decades to learn, but that I discovered this information by being on the inside. And those are the inside secrets that I share with you. Listen, this is all I want you to know, is that everything that we were taught, myself included, about what it means to achieve financial success, achieve financial independence, that blueprint that we were given was never designed for us to have any economic power. The only way we're going to have economic power, the only way that we're going to be able to create intergenerational wealth, is that we have to get the information ourselves, and we have to transfer that knowledge to our family, to our community, because otherwise we will not get access to it. Do you all understand? There is a difference between income and wealth, and the conversation that we're having in WealthyU and our mission is to help you understand that. It is not about making more income. Listen, more income will not solve your problems. You've got to learn how to turn that income into wealth. And in order to do that, and in order to navigate what is a minefield for Black folks, right? They see us coming, they know, oh, well, they're not going to ask me that question, so I'm going to put them in this product and it's going to pay fees. Listen, I'm going dead at this industry. And the fact is, what you think are people who have your best interest in mind, they don't have your best interest in mind. They're salespeople. I've managed hundreds of them. And that's why I left, because it was not about creating any kind of true wealth. It was about locking you into products where you're going to pay a lot of fees and your money will not grow. And I see it every week as you guys analyze and research your investments, and you see you're in low performing investments, you're in, 1 or 2 stars investments, you're in investments that if you were to pull out of them are going to take every dime that you've had, and you've had that money locked up for years. Are you guys getting me? I want you to understand that this is not about the money, it's about the mission. And the most valuable asset you can ever have is the knowledge of how to build wealth. Now, I know I kind of got on my soapbox too, but I'm pumped, and I hope you're pumped. It is our Get Wealthy 5-day challenge. Excellent. So I see my ambassadors, Anita Jenkins. Just say hello to the folks. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Connect with Anita. Anita, just say hello to the folks out here and tell them to get ready to get wealthy.
Hey, everybody, Anita here. Yes, you better get ready to get wealthy. I'm sick, but I'm still running. I'm still running for them 7 and 8 figures. So let's go. Let's get busy. This is going to be the best year ever. I'm really pumped up. I'm excited. And I just can't wait to reach out to any of you that need my help. I'm there. All my other mentees, they'll tell you, I'll reach out to you no matter what time. I'll reach out to you if you need my help. So get in here. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Want to see your face in the place. Let's go.
Shalom. So join us in the WealthyU community. I see Lynette Reynolds is there, one of our ambassadors. Lynette, say hello and tell folks they can connect with you as well.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lynette, and don't be like me. When I was lurking for 2 challenges, because I didn't want to spend that money, but you know what? Spending the money was an investment in me. Spending the money was self-care, because looking at retirement in a few short years, you know, that's what my goal is, and to leave generational wealth. I have a granddaughter that, you know, I want to give her a chance to do something great with her life. And this is your opportunity. So don't wait. Join us. You have nothing to lose.
That's right. So we want you. Thank you, Lynette. And you can see all of these women were sitting right where you were. They're dedicated and they want to see you win too. Let me go to Virginia Rutherford Hall, one of our ambassadors. Say hey, Virginia.
Hey, gold models. So excited to have you here. And we want you to lean into the 5-day challenge. And I remember my journey sitting on the other side of that fence. I always say I went from lurking to leaping, and I went from ignorance to investing. So that acumen will increase if you continue to lean in, listen, and learn. It's valuable. You got to look at this as value. And we got to shift that mind from cost and go from that earner to an owner. We have to level up. Yep, we got to lean in, we got to listen, we got to learn. When Deborah dropped that in that masterclass, she dropped that nugget with Kim Coles, that pivot on purpose. And I was watching her do that in that first virtual masterclass. And I remember it reminded me when I was in that airline industry for 25 years, when that mask dropped, it said, consider your own needs first before helping someone else. And that's what you're doing. You're considering your own needs first, getting equipped so that you can help somebody else in that next generation to build generational wealth.
Love it, Virginia. Thank you so much. Let me see where my other ambassadors at. Let's go to Roxanne, our newest ambassador. Roxanne, say hello. Welcome to the WealthyU team. We're so excited to have you.
Hello, fellow goal getters. I am ready to go for in 2023, and I'm ready to join and lock arms with all of you as we learn and win together. You know, we as a community can accomplish so much, more so than you can do on your own. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go far, you go alone. But if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. And my gift, well, what this organization's gift to you is community and support. And then we're going to win and learn together. So let's go and link arms for 2023.
Love it. Thank you, Roxanne. Well, I'm excited. As you see, that's the other thing. We continue to grow. We continue to grow people in this community to support one another. And again, if you want to make sure you are notified of our newest Get Wealthy 5-day challenge, we're going next level, and we're going to be focused on specifically the things that you need to do to become one of those million with a million. Again, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're ready to accelerate as we are all. This is going to be our best year ever. We're looking for more growth. We'll have some more announcements to make, but remember, lock this in your diary. 116, 117, 118, 119, 120. We're going to be here every night at 8 o'clock, sharing with you the things that you need to do to get wealthy and to stay wealthy. So that's going to do it for me this evening. Thanks so much for joining us right here on Get Wealthy on Wednesday night. And we hope to see you again next week right here at 8 o'clock.